I feel like music review culture per se is sort of, I don't know. I think it's sort of almost centered around you. I feel like, and I think that's because you have one of the most what I would call like active fan bases that I've seen, and there's all the Melon memes, and I know that you embrace it. When did that start coming to fruition? Because I don't recall that, or at least maybe it wasn't as constant as we see it today. I don't recall that back in 2014 or 2015.
Um, there always has been kind of an element of meme culture surrounding what I'm doing, because I remember back in the day, I mean, there definitely were photoshops that I would share. I know that I had a huge following at the time on the music board on 4chan, which back in the day was not quite as bad as it is these days. I think part of the reason that is that unfortunately, 4chan, I think a lot of the creativity that originally was on that site has kind of matriculated off onto other platforms on the internet. And, that's it. It kind of sucks to sort of see the website kind of be a shell of what it once was. I mean, the people who, used to run it and own it don't even own and run it anymore. And it's just like, it's not the same vibe. It's not the same culture. It's not the same anything anymore. I still think it's nice that it's still standing there as an institution, and it's good for a laugh every once in a while, but it's not kind of like the guiding force in meme culture that it used to be. And I had a huge following on the music board. And I used to actually go on there back in college quite a bit. I had sort of lost touch with it when I was putting a lot of the groundwork into the needle drop that I needed to. And one day I started prepping for a particular review. It was the Radiohead Kings of Limbs review. And in my comments, I would routinely get requests for albums and everything like that. Hey, review this album, review that album, review this other album. But I started to get these comments that were saying like, hey, you better review that new Radiohead album ASAP, or else MU is going to fucking come get you. Like, you better review that Radiohead album, or, you're done on MU, or, Mew, like, we're going to get you, we're going to kill you, blah, 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 blah. Like, of course, it's all pretty much said in jest. But so that forced me to be like, what the hell's going on over there? Like, I haven't been there in a while. So I went on there, and like almost every other fucking thread's about me. And it's either people like hating on me or complimenting me, or just this one weird troll thread that people would post routinely, which would always like result in hundreds of posts and hundreds of responses, where they would post the same photo of me in the middle of reviewing this group called Holy Ghost. And it would just be like this weird kind of smarmy look on my face. And the post would always say, what do you guys think of Anthony Fantano? Like, that thread would happen multiple times a day on the board at one point, like earlier in the decade. And I was just like, flabbergasted as to, why they'd be writing about me all the time and talking about me all the time. So I kind of responded to that with kind of an appearance from a character where I just kind of like turned a white shirt inside out and I wrote MU on it, and I had like a baseball bat in my hand, and I was kind of threatening to beat myself up as this character if I didn't kind of give that record a good review, or give it a review sooner rather than later. And in a way that, even though, again, there were photoshops and there were definitely people who would kind of gripe and groan over scores repeatedly, and that became a little joke in the comments around that time. But in a way that kind of opened the floodgates a little bit, because I had acknowledged the existence of the meme community and the fact that there's like a meme contingent hanging out in the comment section. And then it gave them like this note of self-awareness in the comments, because they're like, whoa, like, he sees us, we see him, and now we're aware of our own existence collectively within the fan base. So then from there, it sort of opened up these meme floodgates, and so then there were like even more photoshops and even more jokes. And the Radiohead album, I ended up giving it like a 6. And of course, like, just the score of the album in and of itself became like a joke. because, you know, there's like this huge running gag that if an album is big or important or relevant, I'm going to give it a 6. Like, it's got to get a 6. And, you know, I'm the 6 guy or the 6 god or the 6 melon or whatever. So, I mean, that's probably where, like, the meme contingent in my audience became self-aware. As far as like the origin of, I mean, there are lots of different memes, but as far as like the melon one, the origins of that meme, and it's been going on for so long that a lot of newer audience members like kind of have totally lost touch with where it came from, and they don't even know. They just kind of see other people saying it, and they see that I have a big round head, so they say it too. But where it originally came from was this electronic music producer by the name of Zombie, who has kind of a history of attacking both verbally and even physically, you know, other musicians, music journalists, so on and so forth. And he would repeatedly go on like these Twitter tirades when a review of his was like less than favorable or less than accurate. And he would also delete them immediately after. I did a review of one of his records, and he went on exactly one of those tirades about me. And at the very end of the whole tirade, which people were just kind of loving and laughing at because it was just so over the top and just so angry, he just called me a melon. You know, he just called me a fucking melon. And people were kind of like clowning the fact that he had called me a melon because it made no fucking sense and it was so weird. It was just such an odd insult to end like this whole like screed off with, and all my fans were kind of just like making fun of him and breaking his balls. And then of course he deleted the whole thing, but then afterwards all of them started calling me melon, like affectionately, because they thought the whole tirade was really funny. So from then on I was kind of known as the melon. And it's funny, even after like that whole tirade, while the melon thing did become a meme, it wasn't even as big of a meme as it is now, with like less of a connection to the origins of that whole meme. I feel like people use that terminology now even more than they did like back in 2012, 13, 14, back when that was originally said.
That's super interesting. I didn't know that story either. I just see a bunch of people saying melon and sort of a big meme.
Yeah, it's totally disconnected at this point. It's funny.